Delighted to say we're joined by Rajal Patni, Director of Home Care Association members, Mawii Home Care. Rajal, thanks ever so much for your time and for joining us. Could you just give us a bit more information about your service and your work with your clients?
Yeah, pleasure to. So Mawii Home Care was set up a few years ago, and we essentially wanted to get into the in-home care business because we felt it needed a huge amount of change from providing it through digital solutions. And the type of services that we're providing are from companionship to just general house care and support. And we're also focused on dementia support. One of our clients also is blind, and he came to us because obviously his needs were around making sure that his diet was good, because he had issues there and so on. So yeah, we've got some very interesting clients over these last few years.
Yes, what a few years it's been, of course.
Yeah.
One of the things that caught our eye in terms of when we were trying to set up this chat was obviously your work with, and supporting groups that feel culturally challenged. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, so my work, we're very passionate in supporting charity groups, volunteer groups, and especially around, the issues over the last 2 years we've had because of COVID. We wanted to try to find ways of how we can get into the community and how we can actually support the community. So one community that like I said, very passionate about is Bawa. That basically, it's short for Barnet Asian Women's Association. So as the title says, they're based out in Barnet, the London Borough of Barnet. And that organisation was actually set up, I think, way into like back in the 1970s. And it's made up of a group of Asian women, who at the time didn't really know how to work with different cultures that they were getting into within communities. They had their own personal problems and they wanted to talk to like-minded individuals. And that charity sort of grew over time and support. And my mother was one of those individuals within that group, and she loved it. She loved all the things around, dancing, keeping their culture going through dance. During Diwali time, they would do a lot of events, basically share their stories. They also have a very strong support mechanism around loneliness and just support for women. And so I got involved because of my mother 4 or 5 years ago, and they are now a group of about 80 to 100 ladies, 65 plus, and I wanted to bring how digital can help in especially around COVID times. So we sort of got into Zoom, we got into how to use Zoom, and having all of these, we had 100 plus accessibility, so you could hear all this chitter chatter going on as if they were in their center. It was quite hilarious, and it was wonderful, and that really helped the ladies to sort of learn to get into digital but still feel that they are being connected, because a lot of them live on their own, and a lot of them can't move out of their home, because they were self-isolating, or they just had mobility issues, or they got ill, or they had COVID. So the group Bawa, the trustees, the ladies of Bawa, they're fantastic individuals who constantly every day would make phone calls, check on people, and they created these Zoom environments. And they also created yoga classes for well-being. They created chair exercises for well-being. and just keeping mobility going. So yeah, very passionate about that group.
Amazing. That really shines through. Yeah.
yeah.
And can you pick out, I mean, obviously we're emerging from this latest phase of the pandemic at the moment, aren't we? I mean, can you pick out one or two, success stories that spring
Yeah,
to mind?
definitely. So I think one huge success story I personally feel is that, they were struggling from a funding point of view, and very hard to get funding, so they're self-funding, and their members were also supporting in trying to keeping that charity going. So we had the opportunity to work with the Barnet Community Innovation Fund. So we made an application on behalf of our charity group to allow funds to be used for digital improvements and for funds to have digital inclusion for these ladies. And what we're doing now is a lot of these ladies are getting used to how to access digital services, examples like NHS app, but they don't necessarily know what they've got to do because they've now have a change of how they communicate with community and GPs. So what we're doing as part of that project is having an external presence for them, as in the charity group, from a website to allowing understanding in a different language, because obviously not everyone can read English and they can't understand what's available to them. So we translate, and then even some of the videos we are going to be putting online so that it's in their mother tongue. So it's not just English, there's also like Gujarati, Hindi, there's a couple of other languages. So we're going to bring that in because not every one of those ladies can actually read either. And we forget that we put things online and we assume that people can read, but actually they can't. So we're trying to bring different communications, so voice as well as interaction between language and access. So I would definitely say that's one success story because they're getting digitally aware and they love it. They've got their WhatsApp groups, they're constantly on the phone, having a little natter. They've figured out how to do the video calls. So, they feel that they're connected. I think that they have definitely said that they've done their own little stories, that they have found that their loneliness has really hasn't exaggerated, but has helped them to be able to talk to people and just physically see, like how I'm seeing you, Matthew. Sometimes it's just physically seeing, oh yeah, there's someone there, and I can have a quick 5-minute chat. And that's been a really great success story. So yeah, and I think another success story is, the sadness of bereavement. I know I wouldn't, it's sort of saying why is access sex, being a success. But for me, it was around, I unfortunately lost my mother during last year, and what it gave the community, and we couldn't go to each other's houses because in Asian culture everyone comes around, they bring food, you're physically in contact. But the Zoom access, I mean, we had events and we had prayers, and the amount of support I personally was getting just from Zoom connections, I felt that yes, there are people out there for me. And now, because of COVID has opened, I physically go to the center, and they care for you, they love you, and I can't put more than that. Basically, I would say our successes for me.
Amazing. Thank you for that. That was really nice. And if there are providers that are looking at this that want sort of top tips into how to potentially support groups that that feel that culturally challenged, what tips would those be?
So I think first thing is that we must listen to them, respect them, and understand them, because I think a lot of things that we do in trying to support in their care needs or their health needs or their well-being needs, we always think about one solution fits all. And I don't agree with that. I think one solution is there as an access point, and then we should be able to adapt it to the needs of that community. So either we're culturally, challenged, or we could be, not able to actually access those elements. Like having a video call with someone that is hard of hearing. How do we make sure that they can actually hear what I'm saying? Or someone that is visually impaired, how can they see who they're seeing, right? So culture is one thing, but I just think there has to be a whole inclusive adaptation of some fantastic solutions in the pathways that we're all in, from health needs, to our care needs and just our general well-being needs. There are so many different verticals, but how do we make sure that the horizontal line works from A to Z? And that's what I feel that every provider in our industry, in our in-home care industry, should just think about.
Amazing. Lots to think about there. Definitely. Fantastic. So just to end on, obviously you are Home Care Association members. What are your favourite benefits from being members of ours?
Oh, so when I came into this industry, 5, 6 years ago, and I had no idea what home care or anything was about. And, did a lot of research, Googled a lot. And that's when I came to, obviously in the old days, UKHCA. And I found that, I'm very much around, governance and around compliance whenever I'm looking at things, because I just feel that whatever service or whatever things that I need or I'm going to deliver on, there needs to be some level of governance around it or some level of compliance around it. And then when I came in, I sort of saw UKHCA, I saw the work they were doing and how their member group was very much home care focused. And I was like, yeah, I like these guys. So, I became a member. And then I really enjoyed all of the different, pre-COVID, we had the training sessions, you could go have face-to-face sessions, you then meet other people, you can network. And then you've also got, some of the events that the teams were doing, which we also took part in. But it really helped to galvanize all the new things that are coming through and lessons learned from those that have been in industry for so long. So for me, because I'm new in it, I love absorbing people's experiences and seeing where they've got to and what struggles they've had, and maybe I've got similar struggles and how do I get through. So definitely I've enjoyed that. And I think it's a great, they have a great helpline. I sort of call now and then. I'm not one that calls all the time, and I love the fact that I can just go online. So my registered manager, she's got access. So she just goes online, does what she needs to do, has a look at things or sees the policies. So yeah, I think there's great work that HCA is doing.
Amazing. Well, thanks ever so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and wish all the best to yourself and to your team for the coming weeks and months.
Thank you.